guys, it's Jessica, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a review and try-on of the brand new MILANI Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 Foundation and Concealer, and also a try-on review of the MILANI Prime Perfection Face Primer in Hydrating and Pore Minimizing, and this is oil-free. So these are $9.99 each at the drugstore. I found mine at an end cap at Walmart. I found mine at an end cap in Walmart. I'm online right here, and I see that online, to buy it online, Walgreens sells it. So I will link the Walgreens links for both of these products below. Again, $9.99. Let's go ahead and get into the try-on review. I did this side of my face with a brush and this side of my face with my hand. I don't usually do my try-on reviews with the Beauty Blender because most women in the world that aren't part of the YouTube beauty community don't know about our own beauty blenders. So I like to do it with two more common methods of applying it. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I've already put a moisturizer on. I'm just using a CeraVe moisturizer, and I let it sink in for a couple minutes. I usually do that like right when I get out of the shower. Of course, I've already done my hair today, but usually I just do that right when I get out of the shower. But we're gonna go in first with the MILANI Prime Perfection Face Primer, and they had two. I picked the hydrating one because that is kind of my problem, is if I tend to be anything, I tend to be more dry, especially in the winter. So just a squeezy tube, and it's got kind of an Elmer's glue type consistency. It doesn't really have a smell, it doesn't seem. So I'm just gonna kind of pat it in the areas. And the thing that I struggle with primers is making sure I'm, instead of just rubbing it around, kind of patting it in. Because you want it to sink into your skin. So you gotta rub it a little bit to get it spread out, but just kind of pushing it into the skin so that it sits where you need it, which for me I feel like is everywhere. But I'm even gonna put some under my eye to see if it helps hold on to concealer and foundation there. So it feels kind of, you can see it's moisturizing. It feels kind of nice. It does feel hydrating. It doesn't feel like oily, I wouldn't say. It feels like hydrating, but like it's sinking in. So it almost has like, certainly like a lotiony feel, but it almost has that silicone like velvety feel as well. It's kind of like a weird mix, which would explain why it's marketed as hydrating and pore minimizing, because you kind of need both of those feels to make that work. So it's already sunk in. I can tell it doesn't feel tacky at all anymore. So I'm gonna wait about 30 more seconds, and then I'm gonna put on the foundation. So for me, the true test with this will be if it covers, like I've got just little bits of discoloration here. My nose is always red, I've got veining and stuff here, so I'm just gonna apply it everywhere to see how it covers that. I chose the shade 01 Creamy Vanilla. It's got a pump, obviously, and it's a glass jar. So I'm gonna kind of put it on my hand here, and we'll see about the color match. I'm just gonna kind of rub it in a little bit first, and then I'm gonna take my brush and apply it where I want it. This is just a Sedona Lace FB07. I've had it forever. I'm just gonna use it for this. I'm gonna put, I've already started applying it. I'm gonna do brush on this side and hand on this side like I typically do with foundations. This might be too much, actually, now that I'm seeing it. The color is a little more yellow than my skin tone, although I do have a little bit more of a skin tone, so I'm not too worried about that. All right, so let's blend this in. Ooh. Okay, this is yellow. So not the most ideal color match, now we know. But let's at least look, oh my, it's definitely not. But let's at least look at the texture of it and how it looks once it's blended in, and see if it highlights dry areas, if it conceals. It looks like it is concealing, I mean, pretty well. If you compare this side to this side, I mean, it's definitely concealing some stuff. Let me pull my mirror a little closer. I mean, it does conceal, I have to admit. I mean, this looks so much more perfected than this side. Let's try the rest kind of with my hand and see how it applies. Should have like wore a headband for this. Gotta kind of blend that middle area. I think it's more perfected with the brush, but I also think I applied more over there, so let's put a little bit more on over here and see if that does the trick. So I'm kind of thinking it does a good job of concealing. That, I think, with 1 to 2 passes, you get pretty good coverage. So that is nice about that. I like the packaging. If you've got really dry skin, I think it would cling, because it's clinging a little bit, but usually once I apply the heat of my hand, or if you used a wet sponge, it'll dissipate. So I don't think it's too bad for, you know, normal to dry, but if you've got really dry skin, I don't think you'll like it. I think if you have oily skin, you would really like this, because it's got the good coverage. It's kind of mattifying and perfecting, but without being too much. I think it's a good balance of that. I just need to get the right color for sure. It only feels a little bit tacky. It's been about a minute now, which isn't too bad. I mean, I don't really mind that. Do I think it looks super natural? Actually, it doesn't look bad. You just really got to make sure you blend it in well. I think a brush does do a better job than your hand. A beauty blender would probably do really nicely too, especially if you do have dry skin, because it'll kind of make it melt. It'll help it melt into your skin a little deeper if you've got drier skin. But I think actually a brush did a nice job with it. A hand, I think the brush did better. So I started to do my brows. I'm sure I look like Frida Kahlo right now, but I was doing my brows and I had to check back in, because as I looked really closely at my forehead, now that it's been a little, you know, a couple more minutes, there are like big time dry spots. So I'm wondering, I don't know, like, I think if you even have mild dry skin, this might not work. Like, I've got a dry patch right there and you can see it's oxidizing in that area really badly. I think what I'm realizing is I like the primer, so I want to try this with other things, but the foundation, I'm going to need to try this foundation with other primers maybe. But, you know, if it's not going to work with other primers that I really, really like the Maybelline Blur and Illuminate, I really like. And I also really like the Too Faced Hangover, because they're really moisturizing. If it doesn't work with those, then I'll know, like, okay, it's just not good for dry skin. But I also want to try this primer with that, because this one, out of the two, this one I think looked the nicest on my skin. So if I were recommending one of the two, it'd be this. But, you know, it is what it is. So obviously I'm kind of torn about the foundation, and we'll start with that, because it does have high coverage. It's not a perfect shade match, although now that I've kind of finished my face, it does look a little bit better. But shade match aside, it does kind of illuminate those dry spots. So I am going to try it with some other ways. But, you know, upon first glance, for a drugstore foundation, I actually think it's pretty good. Do I think it's the best one out there? No. I really like the Revlon Color Stay Whipped if you have more oily skin. I really like just the regular Revlon Color Stay. I also really like, Neutrogena has a really nice BB cream. And, you know, there's so many foundations out there for the different types of skin. So you've got to keep that in mind. I think if you have oily skin, this really would be a nice foundation, because if I didn't have just those few dry patches, it really does look nice. So I also love the packaging, another pro. I love that it's got a pump. You know, so many drugstore foundations don't, and it drives me bonkers, because they're, you know, when you're trying to shake it out, and you can buy like little pumps for them online, they don't have a very big shade range. I'm looking at it online and it has 8 shades, and they do not go very dark at all. So if you're a deeper skin gal, there is no way you're gonna find the color you need. So that, again, as usual, is a shame. The smell of this, actually, it doesn't have a strong smell, but it, almost like just a kind of clean smell, but again, it's one that I barely notice. I only notice because I intentionally smell it for my reviews. So not one, if you're sensitive to smells, this won't bother you at all, not at all. So let's talk about the primer. This, first of all, only has 0.68 fluid ounces. It's only filled to like here. So that is like a lie. There's like nothing in this. But, and you can tell, like when you feel it, I'm like, what? Like why? It literally is half full. So that's kind of a shame, especially for $10 for a drugstore primer. That's a lot. I really like, I had it here because I knew I wanted to talk about the Maybelline Master Prime Blur and Illuminate. This one has a full fluid ounce, so it, you know, not quite double. This has almost 0.7, but it's definitely got more. It's a little bit cheaper. I want to say this is under $8. Might be even cheaper. And with a coupon, of course, you can get it for even cheaper. But I love this stuff. I love it so much. So if you're kind of, you know, looking, I know I love this one. I would recommend it, especially if you've got normal to dry skin. This one I do like. I again want to try it some more. It's the type of primer I like, where it's hydrating and it just feels good. So I'm going to try it with a couple of like BB creams that I use, and some other foundations, and I'll have to get back to you. So for both of these, I can update you on my social media. I haven't really done that ever, but I was thinking, I'm like, you know, this is so hard, these first impression try-on reviews, because it's only a first impression. Like, there's only so much I know. So I will update you guys on my social media, definitely on my Instagram and Twitter, so follow me on there. My handle on there is jambeauty89, as it is on all of my social media, so stay tuned for that. So quick rundown, the pros of the foundation: high coverage, better for oily skin, great packaging, no smell. $10 is a kind of becoming a normal price for a foundation. Definitely see if you can wait for a sale. If you've got normal to dry skin though, I would say steer clear. The primer, again, $10. I think it's a little steep for the less amount of product that you get. I do think it is a nice primer though upon first glance, so it's worth a shot. Hopefully this review was helpful for you guys. If you'd like to see more of my drugstore try-on reviews that I've done for tons of different foundations, primers, eyeshadows, everything under the sun, I will link some videos I've done down below, some recent ones. I hope you'll subscribe to catch more drugstore makeup videos, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!